Hi, folks. I am very busy in the studio today, and this week, as I said before in some of my previous videos, I will be busy putting models together and catching up on my painting. We will be gearing up for Vanguard very soon here at Tabletop Creations and Games. And, well, I have a few of these boxes, and I started today by putting together the Trident Realm box, and this is for Julie primarily. She's going to be playing with me, and she really enjoys these sort of ocean themed armies, right? In Wrath of Kings, she plays Hadros. For any of you that know what that game is like, you know what the models are like. So it's a very like ocean theme. And Trident Realms very much like that. These are like sea elves or something. And I just wanted to share a couple of thoughts about this kit, especially for people that are either new to the game or new to the hobby in general. Okay, so this is the box I am talking about, and this is the Trident Realm army box for Vanguard. And Vanguard is a skirmish game. So here are all the different figures you get, and then you get like 10 crossbows, but you have the choice of actually converting some of these into melee weapons. And here's where some of my confusion originated. So I just want to talk a little bit about this kit. Okay, so first of all, let's separate this model because this one doesn't have anything to do with that box. This is a separate blister that I bought. And we're going to look at these models first. Now, in order to put this kit together, first of all, there are no instructions, guys. If you're new to the hobby, you're new to putting, these kinds of models together, or you're new to Vanguard, just be aware that there are no instructions. The box just tells you, well, you have 10 infantry units, and you have the choice of making some of them into crossbows and some of them into tridents or melee weapons, right? But there are no instructions. And one of the interesting things is that you have two different kinds of weapons here. You have this thing that looks more like a bifurcated spear. It doesn't really look like a trident to me. Here is a true trident, right? Okay, and there's no argument that that's a trident. That is actually a trident. So when I first opened the kit and started putting the models together, it became a little confusing because this unit, for example, the lurkers, they have a trident and the net. So there were enough arms in the kit to actually put, give them a net. And so I think I have these right? These are, this is the net right here, and this is the trident. So there was no problem with that. Okay, so those are the lurkers. However, when you look at these guys, you will see that it says equipment trident. There's no net, so obviously I didn't put a net arm on these figures. And when you look at the picture of the weapon, you see that it is clearly that weapon right there. Now again, that does not look like a trident, but maybe I'm just taking that too literally. Maybe in the game you consider this a trident weapon, and this just gives the unit a little bit more variety. Okay, so that's fine. So basically my point is that what I suggest for anyone that's new to the game or new to the modeling hobby, that you use the stat cards. I pretty much put the stat cards out, right? I spread them out, and then I matched some of the pictures and some of what the card says to the models. So this way I can put the models together in a way that when Julie plays the game, she can differentiate these guys from these guys. So that's basically my point. This is an example of a weapon that comes, a weapon and an arm that comes with the kit. And this is some kind of spear. It's obviously not a trident. So I'm not sure if you're supposed to treat it as a trident or if you use the equipment cards, right? There is an equipment deck that you get, and this definitely has like spears and swords and a bunch of other things. And you can actually equip your guys. It's an optional thing, but you can equip your guys with these kinds of weapons. So I'm wondering, do you use the equipment cards and then you can, you know, use this spear? I don't know. I'll have to check the main rule book. I know in the book Ice and Iron, which is one of the rule books for this game, the stats for the Trident realm pretty much mimic the cards. Okay, there's nothing about spears or anything. So my point is, I wish they would just have a little booklet or something with instructions on all the different types of units that you can build with the parts in the kit. Now, this is all the bits, the extra bits that I have. This is a lot of bits, and I'm not complaining. Actually, it's great because I'm going to save these, and you can use these in conversions, you know, to convert your models either for other games or for this game. Okay, but this is quite a bit of extra bits. All right, and part of that is because I have not used, you know, I only put together 3 of these crossbow guys because I wanted to give Julie a little bit of a variety, not only ranged weapons but also melee weapons. So there was a little bit of confusion there, these spears, you know, and tridents and everything else. But another interesting thing about this kit, and I think the other kits use a similar thing. You have pewter model here, which is obviously the maybe the commander to the army, right? If you look at his stat card, he is pictured with a large trident, very much like the model. And he also has a net, and that's why I put the net there. But if you look at the stats, he also has a harpoon gun. So there was no metal harpoon, right? There's no arm with a harpoon gun that fits this metal model. You only have the melee weapon. So I chose the melee weapon. It does have a melee stat, okay? So maybe you're supposed to use one of these plastic harpoons in order, you know, to give this guy a ranged weapon. Now what I might do is actually convert one of those harpoon arms and put a harpoon in his back, right? Just to show that he can have a ranged weapon. But again, there's no instructions, so you kind of have to guesstimate. Also, there is no melee, there's no stat card for a standard bearer. I'm assuming that you can use standard bearers in Vanguard. I'm going to have to check the rule book, but I gave her a standard bearer anyway, so there's that. Now, the other thing, what I was going to say that's really interesting is you have 3 different kinds of materials, and that is pretty unique. You have hard plastic here, you have the metallic model, right? But then you also get these white resin models. And for these, you are definitely going to use, you're going to have to need your clippers. These became indispensable for these hard resin models, okay, for these white resin models. These have a lot of flash on them, and you're going to have to clean them up before you put them together, okay? So that's another thing, and that's fine, but that's a heads up, okay? This is the sprue that the resin models came in, and they have all these legs. I guess it gives you a choice, so you know, you have a choice in the pose. But again, you're going to need your clippers. Here is one of the heads, and this is what the head looks like. It has all of these little sprue parts, and you're going to have to really clip these, right? Clean these up in order to make your model. Now these are very small, and resin is, well, a little bit on the fragile side, so you have to be very careful with these. The other thing is I use green stuff. I use a little bit of green stuff, okay, and I buy it in these rolls, and it's not exactly cheap. This is about $15 a roll, but I use it in my sculptures, and I also use it to put my models together. Green stuff made this project a lot easier. I used tiny amounts of green stuff right in these joints, and a little bit of crazy glue, and that really helped to cut down the time that I needed to put the models together. I'm a little impatient, so that green stuff, it works wonders, okay? And green stuff is almost a must for these kinds of really heavy models, all right? This is all metal, and this was a sprue that I bought for this faction. This is a separate model, right? It comes in these sprues. Here is the tag for it. Okay, so this is a separate model, and in order to put it together, you need some green stuff. I mean, really, I put this model together in seconds, and that was thanks to the green stuff. And what I do with the green stuff is I take my sculpting tool and I kind of sculpt the green stuff a little bit to match the, you know, the roughness of the exoskeleton. And again, it goes together quite well. If you just use crazy glue, yeah, it'll work, but it may not hold together as long, and you're gonna get frustrated. So green stuff is the way to go, and I use green stuff on all these pieces. These are all multi-part, and especially this one had like a little wrist part there. So you have like the wrist, you have the arm, you have this arm, you have the head. This torso actually came in half. So you have a lot of parts for each of the model. And that's great in a way, because you can really convert these guys, you know, when they have multi-parts like that, you can take other kits and swap the arms and swap the heads, and you can make different models. So that's cool. But if you're new to the hobby, or you're new to the, you know, this kind of manufacturer, you know, Mantic Games, then it may be a little frustrating at first. So I'm just trying to maybe offer a few tips so that things will be a little easier for you. Again, the green stuff with a little bit of crazy glue, a tiny bit of green stuff on these joints with a little bit of crazy glue, made these models a lot easier to put together. And as far as the different weapons, I'm gonna have to look at the rule book a little more closer. I definitely suggest that you use these stack cards to put your models together, okay? And it really helps a lot. And the other thing, for example, this body right here, this was part of the sprue, and obviously the model has some kind of netting over it. One of the arms seems to be hidden. This arm right here, can't really tell, you know, what this goes to. This has a wide space here, and so the heads don't really fit all that well here. So again, I wish they had some instructions, you know, telling you, well, this body part is suggested here, you know. That would help a lot. I think. Now, I think I can put a head up there and it'll still look good. But I don't know. I don't know what this part belongs to. There's nothing in the stat cards that shows you a picture of one of these models with a net over it. Okay? So, I don't know. And that's pretty much, well, that's pretty much all I have to say on that. I'm going to save this piece and probably use it in a conversion. Alright, thanks for watching, everyone. And now I am ready for the next kit. And it's Vanguard, the Northern Alliance. So we'll see how this kit goes together. Thanks a lot, folks, and talk to you soon.